What if I told you everything you learned in school about success, about abundance, about wealth was wrong? You see, school, they don't teach you the real secrets, the ones that work anyway. Now, today in this video, we're going to discuss the 3 wealth secrets they don't teach you in school. Now, I want you to keep with me here because I'm going to discuss a few things that most people don't talk about. Now, maybe you've heard this stuff before, but this is stuff that you don't hear all the time. So this isn't going to be a cliche video about the 3 wealth secrets. This is something that's going to really help you out that they don't teach all the time and you don't hear of all the time. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take it from a side of being an entrepreneur. So we're going to combine several things here. As far as being an entrepreneur, like combining success, how to get success, how to get abundance in your life, and throw in some manifesting, law of attraction, and law of assumption secrets, because everything is combined together. You have to realize this in the areas of success and success development is who you are in one area of your life is who you are in every single area. So that's what we have to understand. First and foremost is if I'm indecisive in one area of my life, well, I'm going to be indecisive at work. At work, if I'm a manager, at home with my significant other, around my friends, around my family, I'm going to be indecisive everywhere, not just in one tiny little area. But lo and behold, let's rock and roll and move on to wealth secret number 1. Now, wealth secret number 1 really focuses on, this is probably the core of the entire educational system. When you went to elementary school, middle school, high school, and even college. And wealth secret number 1 is what they really teach is logical thinking. Okay, now in the areas of success, some of you may know and some of you may not know, is when you look at manifesting abundance and success, when you look at the mind and study the mind is separated into 2 parts. You have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Now, the conscious mind, this is our thinking mind. This is our logical mind. Now, and I'm not really disagreeing with school at this point because there is a need for a logical mind or thinking mind. Our logical mind we think very logical. We're taught very logical. We're taught to be analytical. We're taught to overthink. So our thinking mind, our logical mind protects us. It protects the subconscious mind. And it protects us in a way of us trying to figure out or overanalyze, what's true and false. What's the right thing to do? What's the wrong thing to do? Okay, that's the basics to our thinking mind, our conscious mind. Now, our subconscious mind, really quick, is the direct opposite. Our subconscious mind is very, very illogical. Okay, our subconscious mind just takes it as is. Okay, it doesn't figure out what's true and what's false. It doesn't figure out what's the best thing for us. It just gives us what we give it. Whatever we influence our subconscious mind with, that's what's coming into our life. That's what we're manifesting into our life. That's how our subconscious mind works. It's not that, this person's lucky over here. This person was born into a wealthy family. I can never get wealthy. Okay, it doesn't play on luck. It just gives you what you're giving it. If you think that you deserve poverty, well, that's exactly what it's going to give you. So your subconscious mind is very, very, very illogical. Now, kind of the bad thing with this, when you look at the school system teaches 100% of the time our logical side of things. That's 100% of the school system. So you might remember this. You might even remember you going through it, or maybe you're a parent and you're doing this to your kids, where at some point, usually when they start school, maybe it's kindergarten or first grade, it's right in the beginning of elementary school when our parents come to us and they say, well, Chad, you're a big boy now. Or you might say, oh, you're a big girl now. Okay, you don't play make-believe. You don't play fantasy in your mind no more. You're too big to do those kind of things. Okay, you're too big to have imaginary friends. You get me on that? You might see me talk to my imaginary friend in this video. You don't know about that. But anyway, right when we get into a school system, we're getting this from our parents, and we're getting this from our teachers when we actually go to school. So it's really kind of being beat out of us that we don't have an imagination. We want to think very logical. And we kind of grow up through this through the school system when we go from elementary school, middle school, high school, and college. But now let's kind of move forward. Like we're in middle school, we're in high school, we're a little bit of an older teenager. Now, how does like our logical mind kind of affect us, and how does it affect us as we start getting older? Okay, what ends up happening is in the areas of success and success development is that we take things in like an order of sequence. If we think logically, there's a step 1, a step 2, a step 3, and a step 4. Okay, you can't jump from step 1 and you're jumping to step 6. Okay, that's not logical. That doesn't happen. Let me explain this in a different way. Okay, let's say like if you're very logical and you have friends that would do this to you, let's say that you've never owned a house before. So it would be illogical to think that, well, I don't have a house, I can jump right to my dream house. Okay, that's illogical. That's not following logic. Okay, you've never even owned a house, you never lived in an apartment, you never lived in a condo. So logical thinking is, if you want to buy a house, is, well, you have to start off with an apartment. You have to start, then you have to jump to a condo. Part 3 is you have to buy a fixer-upper. Part 4 is you have to buy something kind of middle grade. Then you kind of work yourself up, maybe jumping from house to house to house 4, 5, 6 times before you get to that dream house. See, that's illogical thinking. Like logical thinking follows a sequence of events, and that's how we're taught in school. Remember what I said about the subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is our spiritual mind. That's a nickname for it. But our subconscious mind is very, very illogical. This is where abundance comes in. This is where manifesting comes in. This is really where success comes in. Because our subconscious mind is just giving you exactly what you give it. It doesn't play favorites, okay? It doesn't like someone else more than it likes you. It's not trying to figure out what's best for you. It's not trying to figure out what's true and false. Okay? It's just giving you what you're giving it. Does that make sense? So if it's really illogical, how your subconscious mind works is, if I'm thinking about my dream house and I'm imagining my dream house, well, eventually, I may not have ever lived in a house before or ever owned a house before, but your subconscious mind will jump you from step 1 clear to step 6. It doesn't follow a sequence of events. So it's kind of like, which side do you really want to be on? Do you want to be on 100% of the logical side, or do you want to be more on the subconscious mind side, the illogical side? Because success is very, very illogical. Manifesting in abundance is very, very illogical. And how this works is, if you think it's kind of like the law of belief here. Now, law of belief says this, is that when we're still on the logical side, is if you think that your life has to be very logical, there has to be step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Well, that's going to be shown to you in your life. But if you think the opposite, if you think very illogically and you think like, well, I can move from step 1 and jump from step 6, well, that's going to be true also. That's what's going to be shown to you as well. And kind of wrap up number 1 here, when you study millionaires, and maybe some millionaires, maybe you have some mentor and coaches that are millionaires, or you at least can follow them on YouTube and social media. But the one thing is, when you actually look back at their history, is they think very, very illogical. They think more illogical than they do by logic. But isn't it kind of weird how our school system, 100% of the time, trains us to be trains us to be logical. Your school system is training you to be an employee. That's what you have to understand. Everything is kind of geared for you to be an employee, for you to answer to authority, and you kind of step into that status quo. When you look at all the wealthy people, when you see their biography, you see kind of things they went through, how they got there, they really thought very illogical. And this is the success. This is if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to be very illogical. You have to think illogical. Okay, you got to think like, hey, my business is going to take off. It's going to go viral. I started a YouTube channel. It's going to go viral. No matter what I do, I can learn along the way. But to a logical thinker, and you're very analytical, You want to be able to see, well, what's step one? What's step two? What's step three? Let me see your giant business plan first before I get involved. These are just very logical steps that really wealthy people don't follow. Now let's jump over to the second wealth principle here. Isn't it kind of funny how when we go to school, and this starts in elementary, this starts way back in the beginning, and we notice it more when we're in middle school and in high school and even college. But isn't it really funny how the school system teaches us to focus on our weaknesses and not our strengths? Now, when I think back, and I think back at high school, especially like a high school and even middle school, it was always like if you were really good with something or you were really good with a certain subject, it was kind of like, well, Chad, you don't need to focus on that, but you're really weak with English or you're really weak with science. So you need to focus on that. So the school system really teaches you to focus on your weaknesses and not your strengths. And I learned this when I used to live in LA, I mentored with Marcus Buckingham. And Marcus Buckingham was at that time, in the beginning of my career, he was really big in the human resources. And because he had a whole class on focusing on your strengths, how the workplace should focus on your strengths, and how job descriptions should, when you hire a new employee, you should figure out that new employee's strengths and kind of alter their job description where they're really working 80%, 90% in their strengths instead of their weaknesses. But even the workplace has this upside down. Okay, the workplace, because they learned it from school, focus on your weaknesses, focus on what you're not good at, then that kind of transfers over to the workplace as well. Kind of for me, what changed is really way back in around 2003, 2004. 2003, 2004, I started working with Ed Mylett, and I started working with John Shin. And one of the things, when I first met John Shin, and I went through the interview with him, he asked me a few questions that kind of astonished me a little bit, or made me really think. First, he asked me, well, Chad, what type of books do you read? Do you read books? And I was really honest, and I said, well, I don't read any books. Only books I read was I was really into exercise and fitness and martial arts at that time. I said the only books I read was on exercise and fitness and nutrition and martial arts. So he asked me, well, you're getting into business development. You're a young entrepreneur. You want to build companies and build businesses. Okay, why aren't you reading business books? And I couldn't really answer him at that time. Then he asked me another question. He said, well, who are your mentors and coaches? Do you go to seminars and try to learn? And I said, well, at the time, I was honest again. And I said, well, only my mentors and coaches were in martial arts. And again, he kind of flipped it back on me. Well, you're an entrepreneur. You want to build companies and businesses and build your brand. Okay, why don't you have a business coach? Again, I couldn't answer him. But through this journey in the beginning, I started learning about John Shin at the time was a multimillionaire. Ed Mylett at the time was a multimillionaire. And what I learned from them is that you need to focus on your strengths. Okay, rich people, wealthy people, focus on what they're good at. And don't take what I'm saying the wrong way. I'm not saying we never focus on what we're not good at, okay? But you have to look at it this way. If I really suck at doing videos, for example, if I really suck at it, well, if I spend all my time doing it, yes, I'm going to get better. But if I really suck, I jump up to just sucking, or I jump up to just being okay. But I don't get exceptional at it because it's not a real strength of mine. But if I focus my energy on my strengths, I become extraordinary. I become extraordinary good, extraordinary great if I focus on my strengths. And this is what I learned when I started hanging around multimillionaires. They tend to focus on their strengths and what they're good at 100% of the time. And as their company grows or as their brand grows, they start to delegate what they don't like to do, or they start to delegate things they're not good at, and they hire someone for that specific skill. But this really contradicts the school system. This really contradicts, because I remember going all the way through the school system, and it's always about working on the subject that I'm not good at. It's never about honing in on your strengths and what you're really good at. And this is the same thing with even manifesting an abundance. Is if you focus on what you're good at, you really inspire to do it. You have good energy around it. Okay, think about your energy field a little bit. Like when you're doing something you really suck at, you don't really like, do you have the best energy? Do you have the best thoughts doing it? But if even a basic law of attraction, basic abundance, a basic law of belief is what I put out has to come back to me. But if I'm constantly in that state of I'm doing stuff I don't like, that's what I put out. Well, that's what has to come back to me for the law of belief. What I put out in the universe has to come back. So I'm putting out like, I constantly don't like this. Well, similar things will come back to me. I'm always doing things I don't like. But if I start switching it and I start focusing on doing things that I love, what I'm passionate about, what I like, doing things that are my strengths or aligned with my strengths, it's helping me on the success side, it's helping me as an entrepreneur side, but it's also combining to the laws of abundance, the laws of belief, the laws of manifesting. Because as I focus on more things I like to do, it lifts my state. I like to do it. My thoughts are more of like and good. That's what I put out, and that's what has to come back to me. But again, isn't it really funny how the school system, it teaches us being stuck. That's why people are stuck in poverty. That's why people are stuck in middle class. Even when they go through the school system, if their parents, if they're in generational poverty, when they go through the school system, they're still in generational poverty when they get out. You would think the school system would teach them how to get out of it, but it's not. Because it's teaching them to be stuck at what they don't like. Even for myself, I grew up in a small town. Even a small town, you have that small town syndrome a little bit. Or you feel like you can be stuck in that small town. Meaning most of the time in a small towns are factory towns. So right when you graduate high school, if you don't go to college, your only choice if you want to make decent money is go to a factory. Then when you go to a factory, you're pretty much treated like it's the 1950s all over again. That's just a bare honest truth. You're treated like it's in the 1950s. But that's why people feel stuck. They don't know how to get out because they're not taught these things in school. They're taught to think very logical. They're taught to think like, well, if I make $20 an hour, very illogical thinking is, well, I can make $21 an hour. But illogical means if you're making 20, you can jump from 20 to $50 an hour. Illogical thinking is you can make $50 to $100 an hour. Illogical thinking that you could be making $50 an hour, then by next year you can be a millionaire. That's thinking illogical. Okay, but thinking logic is you having 50-cent raises every single year to try to get up to where you want. That's logic. Is logic getting you where you want to be? That's what you have to understand. Now let's move on to wealth secret number 3. What do schools kind of neglect here? And they neglect to teach you to have a mentor and coach throughout your whole life. Now, if you were an athlete growing up through school, okay, like kind of I was. Now, I was into martial arts. I wasn't really into like in school, being an athlete in school, playing football or soccer or running or track. I wasn't into all that stuff, but I was kind of into outside of school. So I was an athlete. So going through middle school and high school and even college, it was kind of ground into me that I had a mentor and coach in martial arts. And if you're an athlete, if you grew up being an athlete in school, you played football, you played track, you ran cross country, wherever you lived, you got the taste of it. You got a taste of having a mentor and coach in school. So you were kind of a little bit farther ahead of the students that didn't have mentor and coaches or didn't play a sport because they didn't get exposed to kind of having a mentor and coach. But what's interesting is now I'm older in life is that isn't it funny, even if you were an athlete in school or not, when you graduate in high school and or you graduate college, isn't it funny that you don't have a mentor and coach right now today? Why? Because a mentor and coach is going to take you to that next level. See, if you want to manifest your dream house, if you want your dream house, your dream life, why don't you have a mentor and coach that takes you there, that they accomplished it? I mean, you want to 100% go to somebody that's doing what you want to do. Okay, if you want to be rich, you want to be a millionaire, well, your mentor and coaches would be other millionaires. If you want to be an entrepreneur, your mentor and coaches would be other successful entrepreneurs of how to do it, because it's cutting those corners. And let me share you a secret of mentors and coaches, especially if you can hang around them in person. Okay, not just on the phone, not just watching them on YouTube, or watching them on videos, or watching them on a stage. Maybe you're going through seminars. But the more you hang around them in person, what ends up happening is you become more confident. You start seeing like, well, if they can do it, I can do it. See, that's kind of that breaking point when you have mentors and coaches, and they're personal mentors and coaches, because once you get coached long enough from them, you start to realize that you can do it as you can do it too. If they make millions of dollars, if Ed Milet is a goofball, well, I can make millions of dollars too. If John Shin's a goofball, I can make millions of dollars too. So why don't schools teach always having a mentor and coach? See, what happens is we're always being mentored and coached, okay? Lots of times we are, but we're really being mentored and coached by the wrong people. We're really being mentored and coached by people that they're not any more successful than us, or they're not even as successful than us. So why are you taking information from them? Why are you taking advice from them? So let's wrap this up really quick. One is logical thinking. You want to think, besides being illogical all the time, it's a part to play to be logical, because that's protecting our subconscious mind. It's protecting us between knowing what's right and wrong. But the biggest thing in success, especially with manifesting and abundance, you want to think illogical. You want to set no rules to stuff. Okay? Lots of times in our mind we set rules. That's what we have. That's what you understand. We make up these rules in our mind, and it comes from logical thinking. But what we have to understand is the rules are made up. Okay, we're making up these rules from step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6, and that's what's actually given. That's what's actually shown to us. It comes down to this simple: if you think something's going to be hard, something's going to be hard. If you think something's going to be easy, it's going to be easy. Bottom line, okay. And the second thing here, besides focusing on your weaknesses, focus on your strengths. If you forgot about what you're good at, then you have to experiment a little bit. But focus on your strengths and focus on what you're good at. Okay, and you can even start today, this week. Okay, even if you're in a relationship, maybe you hate to do dishes, but your significant other loves it. I'm just giving you a corny example. Okay, maybe you hate to do laundry, so you go and take all your laundry to Fluff and Fold. Okay, we can eliminate things in our lives that we don't like to do. Now, we might not be able to eliminate all of them, like I said, but we can eliminate most of them. Okay, but the bottom line here, you need to focus more on your strengths, because that's going to push you forward in success. That's going to push you forward to be more wealthy, but it's also going to push you forward when you want abundance, when you want manifesting, you want all these manifesting techniques to work. Okay, when you're doing things you enjoy, you like, and you're happy, well, when you're in that state, more of that has to come to you. And you're trying to manifest your dream house, your dream car, your dream salary, your dream job. Well, guess what? When you're miserable all day long doing things you don't like, well, that's kind of being a reflector of keeping good things away from you. That's what you have to understand. Now, with 3, the wealth principle number 3 here is you have to get mentors and coaches in your life. You have to start investing in yourself, investing in books and buying books, creating a personal development library. You have to start going to seminars with people you want to be like, or they're running a company and they're giving you company advice. Maybe they have a brand you want to be a part of, but you have to start putting mentors and coaches in your life. Even in the beginning, if all you're doing is getting on YouTube and watching videos and watching people you want to be like, or a career you want to have, or they're helping you with a manifesting and abundance and success, okay, it's not enough just to watch a couple of their videos and you stop watching them for a year. You have to do this stuff every single day, because a lot of you might be thinking even right now, like, because it's been so ingrained in you to think to think logical. It's been so ingrained with you. Oh, I don't need mentors and coaches. I can do it by myself. I can be the lone wolf like it shows in all the movies. But no entrepreneur, no person that makes millions of dollars a year is a lone wolf. You have to understand that. That's only in the movies. It's made up. Okay, the lone wolf doesn't exist. The lone wolf will get crushed. Okay, there is no such thing as a lone wolf. So if you want to get success, be serious about adding mentors and coaches in your life. You can't do this stuff by yourself. And it's not, like I said, it's not enough just to watch a couple videos, read a book one time, read Think and Grow Rich one time, read The Science of Getting Rich one time, read Neville Goddard one time, and you think you understand it. Okay, you don't. You need to read this stuff over and over and over and over and over until one day you wake up and a light bulb pops off and you have an aha moment because you finally get it. You finally get it for your life. But other than that, my friends, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully this helped. Comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And I'll answer the comment. I try my best to answer all the comments. But blessings to you, and I'll see you in the next video.